Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who's taken the time to join us from different parts of the world today for today's webinar. I'm just going to take a minute to introduce myself and the World Technology Universities Network and say a little bit about today's event before we get straight into our speakers. So my name is Sonia Jenkins, and I'm the Network Development Manager for the World Technology Universities Network, also known as WTUN. For those of you that do not know, WTUN is a network of over 20 technology universities from across the globe who are committed to undertaking cutting-edge, challenge-led research with direct benefits to people and society, and also to provide education for the next generation of global citizens who will have to respond to the world's 21st century challenges. We've got many objectives as a network, but some of these include to promote a better understanding of the role and the characteristics of technology universities across the world, to promote mobility and global citizenship opportunities, to collaborate on research and knowledge transfer to address global challenges, and to share best practice, which is exactly what we're doing here today. Our primary network-wide activities involve student and staff exchanges, collaborative research across members, competitions for students, and also an annual congress. But we also have specific work streams in the areas of innovation and entrepreneurship, gender equality within higher education, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, all with their own set of activities. Now, we could not be a network that says that they'll address 21st century challenges and ignore the current global COVID-19 pandemic, which has in some shape or form affected all of our lives. It is because of COVID-19 that I'm currently working from my spare bedroom, and you can see my husband's cricket poster in the background. Therefore, the network felt it was very important that we address the current situation somehow, and through conversations with our board members, it became evident that a series of webinars showing exactly how technology universities have worked through the current situation would be a great idea to share best practice across our members and to external delegates too. So today's webinar is entitled The Mental Health and Wellbeing of Staff and Students During COVID-19, and I'm really excited that we're delivering today's event with input from our network host, the University of Bradford, and one of our founding members, Alia University. Our first speaker today will be Professor Amir Sharif, who is the Associate Dean for International and Accreditations at the Faculty of Management, Law and Social Sciences at the University of Bradford, and he will be joined on the panel by Dr. Faisal Showiak, who is the Dean of Student Affairs at Alia University in Bahrain. I hope you will all join me in welcoming them to today's event. In terms of how the event will work, we'll hear from both of our panel members in turn about their own experiences at their institutions, and then there will be an opportunity for questions to the panel at the end. Please type your questions and comments into the Q&A box at the side for them to be submitted, and we will try to answer as many as we can. So I'd like to get straight into today's session by handing over to Professor Sharif at the University of Bradford. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonia, and welcome everybody online. I hope you're all safe and well and can see everything. I'll start sharing my screen and we'll begin momentarily. So here we are. So as Sonia mentioned and colleagues mentioned, my name is Professor Amir Sharif. I'm the Associate Dean within the Faculty of Management, Law and Social Sciences, and on behalf of University of Bradford, just wanting to wish you all well, and that I hope you remain to be safe wherever you might be in the world. Clearly, we're in a very challenging environment, have been for many months, and this is likely to continue in whatever shape and form. And I think this is a really important topic that we're discussing today, alongside several of the other topics in the World Technology Universities Network webinar series, which this is a part of. And so I'll be covering, I'll trying to cover the three broad topics that have been identified for this particular webinar around mental health during COVID-19 for students and staff in terms of universities, in terms of also support through our virtual learning environments and our digital engagement effectively, and then ending with looking at perhaps some strategies and tips and some insight there. But more specifically, what I'm going to be doing is looking at the broad sort of examples that we've got at the university level, and I will give a sort of an apology now. I'm going to be giving my perspective on all of the things that have been happening at the university, but that doesn't mean that it's everything that's happening at the university, and I apologize in advance if I miss anybody out, be that staff or students, because the great thing about University of Bradford, and indeed all of our World Technology University Network members as a group of network universities, is that we are all very much, and every single university as well, very much connected with our students, with our staff, and there's so much wonderful work, supportive work being done that's visible and in some cases invisible that we don't even know about. So this is really the tip of the iceberg that I'm going to be talking about today. So I'll be giving some examples about connecting with students and well-being and things that are happening at the university level, but more specifically in terms of my faculty, the Faculty of Management Law and Social Sciences. Also talking about how we are supporting and working with staff and what that actually feels and looks like, and I've got some examples for that as well. And then some thoughts on positive mental health away from campus and the online campus environment effectively. So that's the sort of broad approach that I'm taking. And of course, this is a very complex subject because mental health, as we know, for a while has had and continues to have be a very sensitive subject for many people. And of course, what we need to try to do is try and discuss mental health, and in the university sector this is equally as important as in other sectors and other parts of life as well. And for those who've been following the debate within the press, also within across universities, mental health for students and staff is very, very important in the university sector. So we must be really attuned to that, and I'll highlight some of those points hopefully as we go through. And in terms of that, in the UK, I wanted to highlight the University Mental Health Charter that came out a while ago, but has been updated successively. And in terms of the first bullet point for this webinar today, that myself and a colleague from Alia University will give a perspective on, I just wanted to bring this point about how universities, certainly in the UK, are coming together to address the challenge of mental health issues and mental health support. And this University Mental Health Charter actually gives a very nice guide and framework for how universities can support students and support staff. And I've just picked out two diagrams, and because I'm a visual thinker, I like diagrams more than words, so you'll see a lot of pictures in the next few slides, but not too many. One key thing about mental health is because it's a sort of an invisible challenge for some people, and in fact for more than some people, can be for many people. Currently in COVID, this is what a lot of people are facing. We need to think about a range of different factors, and in this mental health charter for universities, they've actually brought together some guiding drivers here, be they genetic or individual health vectors or environmental factors. But there's a third important point, which is, I think, where those who aren't affected or those who can support, and that can be students as well as staff as well, of course, that's where learning comes in. And I'll actually talk about learning and staff development towards the end, because I think that's an important piece of this puzzle as well. And within that mental health charter document, there's a nice framework that has been proposed, which I think most universities, in fact most organizations, have sort of adopted and implemented in some shape or form. And it's totally circular, so you don't have to start in any one particular place, but is about learning about what does mental health actually involve. It's about supporting those with mental health challenges or those who might be vulnerable to those issues. It's about living that's live, not live and living. It's about making sure that we build in support structures for day-to-day, day-to-day life, and how that might work in terms of things like mindfulness, but also in terms of general health and well-being. And I'll highlight some examples that we've got at University of Bradford, and no doubt you'll also hear from Alia University as well shortly as well. And of course, because we are not only talking about students, we're also talking about staff as well, and the world of work, we have to think about our environmental considerations whilst we are working. Even if we're working from home, we're still working. And so all of these 3 or 4 driving factors, I think, are very, very useful for us to consider when we're thinking about and discussing mental health in the university setting on a more wider level. And I have to say, I'm not an expert on these things by any means. This isn't really my area, but it's an area of interest, having faced and supported colleagues, students as well, who've faced and been presented with these challenges. So it's something I've got a personal interest in, and hence I'm giving some examples, but also some views on that. So what's the University of Bradford doing in this space? Well, if you go to the University of Bradford website, and staff and colleagues and students will know this, like many universities and organizations, we have a COVID-19 coronavirus series of web pages. But within that, there's a very prominent series of pages on well-being and health, and I'm just going to show you a few of those pages from within that. Now, this is not just for students, of course; it is also for staff. That's the important point. And as a university, as all universities, we are in ecosystems of students, staff, but also our communities, our connected communities, organizations, businesses we might work and partner with, our local council, municipalities, and so on and so forth. The chain of our community as a university and as universities is actually quite large. And as a university which is deeply rooted within its community in Bradford, we're certainly taking that particular approach to ensuring well-being of students, staff, and actually beyond as well. So there's some very helpful information that the university has provided, and I've certainly been to those web pages, and there's first of all some core information that we provide out to our students, like many other universities do, and we've made this very, very clear. So for those students who are facing, or even staff who are facing mental health challenges or issues, or just want to simply talk to somebody, we've provided details in terms of links and phone numbers for a range of charities, but also health services, the NHS First Response Helpline there, the Samaritans, Student Minds, Shout, Mind, and Papyrus. These are all charities and organizations which are primarily focused on dealing with mental health issues. The other thing that we have got at the University of Bradford on our campus, and we've said to our staff and students to use, primarily staff, is the Safe Zone app. Now, this allows anybody, and of course we're not currently on campus, or at least there's the large majority of us who are not on campus, but if you are on campus, the Safe Zone app is a very, very user-friendly but rapid toolkit or technology that colleagues can use to access first aid or to get emergency help. And that doesn't just mean, of course, and this is the important bit, it doesn't just mean physical emergency or physical first aid. It can also mean a cognitive or any mental health emergency as well. So if you're feeling unsafe, or you're not feeling well, or you just need somebody to talk to, and you need that help immediately, then that is also another way you can get in contact. So there's a range of things that we've provided to students, and a range of different services that are out there to support our students. And here, what I've got here is another thing that we've got on our website, which is a series of frequently asked questions relating to mental health and to well-being. And this is really good, and I'm not going to show you how this actually works, but you can certainly go to the University of Bradford website and look under coronavirus and wellbeing, and you can actually then open up each one of these, click on the plus, and it will give you some responses and answers here. But we think this is, and I certainly think this is really nice and very friendly, user friendly, because it gives you some, and it gives staff and students some guidance on what to do if they are particularly facing a particular issue or a particular challenge. And that's really important, and that's been developing over the course of the lockdown and the pandemic. Another important point, though, about well-being, and certainly mental health as well, is also ensuring physical health and well-being. So we also have information there about keeping yourself active, keeping yourself fit. Now, of course, that's very challenging in a lockdown situation. Although now in the UK and some parts of the world, gyms and other health facilities are opening up, sports facilities are opening up, and in fact on campus our gym was scheduled to open on the 25th of July again. But providing information about how to stay fit or how to be active still at home is important. We've run online sessions, not necessarily through YouTube, but partnering with different fitness organizations, as you can see there, Les Mills and Matrix Fitness. And this is broadly similar to a lot of other organizations, and indeed many of you may have also been doing Keep Fit classes online through YouTube, etc. But this is certainly something that the university has also promoted and provided, just to make sure that our students are well looked after. The other thing that we've done within the university, and led by colleagues from right across the university, but also from within the Faculty of Management, Law and Social Sciences, is to provide food aid. Now, we have had quite a few number of students that have remained on campus, both UK-based but also international students who may not have been able to go back to their home countries. But of course, in the early days of the lockdown and the pandemic, they faced an acute challenge. Some of them faced an acute challenge in terms of being worried about getting food. So one of the first things we did early on in the pandemic was partnering with Morrison's, which is one of the UK's largest supermarket chains, the fourth largest supermarket chain based in Bradford. We've got very good relations with them. We partnered with them to get food out to our students, and there are some pictures there I've taken from press articles and social media. In fact, we even had a celebrity in the middle centre there. That's Adil Rashid, who is a cricketer that plays for the England cricket team, and a native of Bradford. They're giving a food parcel to one of our students on campus. But this really was a team effort between colleagues in the university and Morrison's to get food out to students in a very rapid time. And we did this a few times, and we wanted to make sure that students were safe physically, mentally, but also were catered for literally in terms of food, so they wouldn't go without. Now, clearly, just like many universities and organizations, we're living in an online world, and we're living in a virtual world. And look at this particular meeting webinar, we are connected through technology. And of course, student engagement is a core part of that. Here's a screenshot from one of my lectures recently with students that were dialing in from all over the world, some in the UK, but again, from other parts of the world, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, Switzerland, even as far away as Iran and even Australia. So engagement is really important, especially when you can see students and when they can interact with you. And of course, many universities and organizations now have moved into this space very rapidly. In fact, at the University of Bradford, we were very fortunate to be able to move into online teaching pretty much within 48 hours of the lockdown occurring in the UK. Which was phenomenal, and it's a great testament to all colleagues in the university, all of our support services, our IT teams, our staff, academic staff, and of course our students. And we've been developing and improving upon using that technology as well. But that was one very clear success story. But engagement is an important part of mental health as well. It's probably a given and a noted one, but it's really quite important. The other thing that we've been doing, certainly within our faculty, and in terms of my role and responsibility as Associate Dean for Internationalization, is to make sure that we continue to link with our international students. Now, we've ran 2 sessions, we call them International Students Forums, online, just to bring together our international students to make sure they were okay, wherever they might be in the world, in fact, be it in the UK or back in their home countries, just to give that sense of connection, to give them and allow them an opportunity to ask us any questions, and just give them a sense that there are people there at the university who are thinking of them, who want to support them, and because they are still our students, that still are connected with the university. They're still part of our community. So we ran 2 of these events, and just to give you a flavour of what those events were about, the agenda for one of them is there. Very brief sort of session, a couple of hours, or just over an hour, in fact, but covering some important information about visa and travel and impacts upon international students on that respect. They're also given an opportunity to have some informal learning as well, and because we're talking about an online world, what's the importance of virtual communication, and then some other topics as well in terms of teaching and learning. So we ran these sessions a few times. Some students didn't want to share their webcams, and that's absolutely fine. But the feedback we got was that they really did appreciate having that connection, and where they may have been apprehensive or anxious for obvious reasons about their studies, there was a number of colleagues, both academic and professional administrative colleagues online, who could actually answer their questions. And we ran this a few times. That the first one was in April, then we ran another one in May, where we actually had, just like today, we had a session on well-being. And we had a chartered psychologist give a talk on mindfulness and about keeping yourself mentally active and aware, but also supporting yourself as well. And we felt that was useful and valuable to students. The other thing as a university we've done is to continue that engagement. We've looked at different ways in which our students have been engaged with the university before lockdown, and so making sure that they are still part of that community is equally important as well. And we feel this is an important part of what we do as a university, but it's an important part of keeping things as normal as possible, even though we're under very challenging times. We had organised a sustainability day at the university. My colleague, Professor P.B. Anand, had organised that with a range of colleagues from right across different faculties, including senior management as well. But we still ran this event, and this was the important thing. We wanted to continue with doing this, even though originally we had planned to do it on campus, but we ran it online. We even had a student sing us a song, a sustainability song, but anyway, it was a student that was dialing in from Colombia, and that again gives this wonderful sense of international community and connection, which we believe was very important to the students there. Now, in terms of the world of work as a university, life still goes on, so of course we've had to run things like committees and advisory boards, etc. You'll see a screen of that in a second. But that's actually part of being and feeling connected. And although we may be working a lot more harder, I guess, in some sense, working from home, that connection still is very important. So we try and keep the meetings as brief as we can and to the point. But it is a way for staff to connect, and you can see some screenshots there. And even when we've run our advisory boards, which have got colleagues from outside the university that have given up their time voluntarily, they also want to connect with us and make sure that we're okay. Here's some screenshots from our advisory boards in the School of Management, for the MBA as well, but also in our School of Law. And again, the only words again which come to mind are community, international, but also a concern and care. And this is how we believe that engaging with staff and engaging with our wider community helps to support, ourselves very much and others, because we remain to be connected. And that's an important part of mental health, is understanding that there are other people that are out there. They may not physically be close to you or be nearby, but that connection, I think, is really quite important. And we've progressed that through doing other things. And I know a lot of other universities have done the same, workplaces, things like coffee forums. Nothing to do with work, but an opportunity for colleagues to meet, to come together, to discuss concerns, challenges, even talk about work life and home balance. Well, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in all this time, and are you okay? All of these things are really important, but giving colleagues the time and the space to do that, and a time and space to, as they normally would with colleagues, grab a cup of coffee. And we even did things like we ran a couple of quizzes. I didn't do this, but some other colleagues, head of School of Management, Professor Sanka, he set up a little quiz for us all to get involved with. And that was really nice, because it was nothing to do with work, but again, it was about engagement and keeping people connected. But we did a few other things. Now, this was arranged between a few colleagues in our faculty, where we said, well, we're all stuck at home, we're busy with work, but there's other things to life. And a few of us, myself included, although I'm not a very good cook at all, in fact, I hardly cook, but we said, well, wouldn't it be good to do a shared challenge? So there were things like, like a cooking and an evening cooking event, where everybody joined in, logged in at home. You can see people in their casual clothes, and they made some food together. And then even a social event where we said, okay, if you can go into your garden, this is when we had good weather in Bradford a couple of weeks back. Can you let's just join together? And that's the important thing, I think. I think you can see now a theme coming through. Using technology, we can still connect, and we can still ask after each other, and we can still find time, and it takes effort, but it is about finding some time, supporting each other, thinking about your colleagues or thinking about your students, and that really does help. The other thing that our university has done is we've also instigated through the HR department and colleagues in HR a series of staff development sessions online, in order to look at return to campus as campuses start to open up. But also, as you can see there, one of the top things I've highlighted it here, a little module, a little learning session on self-care and well-being. That's vitally important. And having that there as a package of learning and support and self-help is really vital when we are working from home and when we are distributed. So it's not just about student care and staff care, it's about self-care as well. And all of these things are part of a mosaic or a tapestry. So wrapping all of that up or bringing it all together. And from my limited experiences and based upon some of the things that we're doing, how can we help and support students and staff in COVID-19 within universities? How can we do that? And here are just some of my own thoughts, which are very generic. And again, by no means I'm not an expert, but this is just my own view. I think one of the biggest challenges with mental health and with supporting others who are facing these very difficult times is getting and encouraging people to ask for help. That's probably the main thing. Ask for help, talk to somebody, and get things off your chest, and that can be a very difficult first step, but it's really important. It can really help. The second thing is to actually step back. Now, it's easy to say relax, take a break. That might be very difficult when you're working from home or studying from home, but this is actually more about setting boundaries and knowing when it's time to work and when it's time to physically stand up from your desk, go for a walk outside, speak to somebody, connect with a family member or a friend that might be on the phone as well, or whoever you can, just to change the scene in front of you. By all means, and of course it's very important, keep active, eat well, keep hydrated. Physical health is very much aligned to mental health as well. Make sure that you you drink enough water. I don't, and I need to do that a lot more myself. Otherwise, you can end up having, things like headaches, and it can make you feel just not so good. So keeping active and eating well is important. Valuing yourself and keeping in touch and caring for others. This is again, it's a heart. This is about, I guess, love, but it's also about not just love, because that's a very deep thing to talk about in this webinar, but this is about valuing and recognizing and being aware of yourself and of others, and just being, and some would say it's about being grateful, but I think it's a bit more about that. I think it's about understanding the good things, the positive things that you have access to, and whatever and however they might be, large scale or small scale. And the final thing there is about allowing your creative side to express itself. Now, for some people, that might be, learning a new skill, learning to play the guitar, or maybe even, like I've mentioned, doing cooking, or going in the garden if you've got access to a garden, that is, or drawing, or even writing, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. But all of these things, I think, are very sort of generic, but also very fundamental to mental health and good mental health. And certainly from my experience, where you can, keeping these in mind and sharing some of these things with others, I think is very important, because we can all learn from each other as well. So this is by no means, a prescription. It's more of a reflection. One last thing, and I'm going to leave this slide up for a bit. I found four cards that I found in a cafe, which were actually about mindfulness, and I actually took a picture of them, and they're on my desk at work on campus, but I'm not there. But I have, luckily I took a picture of them. I've got these four here to share with you, and this really is about what they call mindfulness. But mindfulness is about being present in the moment and being aware of your present surroundings. It's not about thinking about the future and worrying about that, or thinking about the past. It's about what's right in front of you right now. So this is about sensing. It's also about focusing on, yourself at the moment. That might be challenging if you're if you're faced with a mental health issue, but it is about recognizing what is in front of you at the moment, and learning to see and bring out the positive parts of that. But it's also about thinking of yourself as a person that can get through things, and that's really important. There are challenges in life, but they do pass. And of course, there's things and cliches like, time is a great healer, but that certainly is true. And things may be difficult, but they do in fact pass. And so all of these ideas, and the last one there is about kindness and giving yourself some time and space to heal or to reflect. That's also really important. All of these things are very, very much connected. So I will end there. I'd like you all to stay safe and healthy, of course. We'll be, of course, happy to take questions as well. I'll leave this last one up there, that slide up there, so you can have a look at some of the words there. I know that these cards have certainly helped me and allow me to stay focused. So no matter what challenge or complex or challenging work or situation I'm in, I regularly, when I was at my desk at work, look at these cards. So I think there's something there which I hope might be of use to you. So thank you, and back to colleagues. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Amir. It's actually really interesting to hear from a colleague who's at the same institution, but as you said, there's so much great stuff going on. As much as I know what's going on within my team and within my department, I had no idea about some of the initiatives that you'd taken to connect with students and with staff in your own area. So it's actually really nice to hear about that. Sure. So thank you very much for that. We're now going to move on to our second speaker. So I'm going to pass over to Dr. Faisal Showiak, who, as I mentioned before, is the Dean of Student Affairs from Alia University. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, colleague. Thank you, Professor Amir, for this useful information regarding COVID-19. And if you allow me, I can share my slides with you. Well, thank you for Bradford University to host this event. We are at Ahlia and WTUN are working together to share such experiences, especially regarding the pandemic issue. Yeah. So first of all, I'm going to cover some simple things. What is well-being? Domains of well-being, importance of promoting students' well-being, how universities are promoting students' well-being, and what is the practice at Ahlia University. And finally, what is the impact of well-being on the whole, staff, faculty, students, as well as university. What is well-being? Well-being is a complex, multidimensional construct that cannot be properly measured by a sole indicator in a single domain. This is by Borgonovi and Pal in 2016. If you search the Google, you will see many articles, many research, many studies has been done regarding well-being. So here, for this topic today, I'm going to concentrate mainly on students because I am in charge of students here at Ahlia University, and will also mention something regarding the faculty as well as staff. Roughly speaking, students' well-being refers to psychological, cognitive, social, and psychological functional that capable that students need to live in a happy and fulfilling life. There are 4 domains of well-being, as my colleague Professor Amir just mentioned in one of his slides. There are physical, social, psychological, and spiritual environments or domains. Each of them will be explained now in the next slides. The psychological dimension of students' well-being includes students' sense of purpose in life, self-awareness, affective states, and emotional strength. Psychological well-being is supported by self-esteem, motivation, resilience, self-efficiency, hope, and optimism. So here, the students' well-being, or even staff in general and faculty, we need to concentrate on all these domains just to give them awareness, to see what is their efficiency and how to deal with such situation. The social dimension refers to the quality of their social life. I mean, either students or staff or faculty. It includes students' relationship with their family, their peers, and their teachers, and students' feeling about their social life in and outside of school or institution or university. The cognitive dimension of students' well-being refers to the cognitive foundations students need to participate fully in today's society as lifelong learners. As Professor Amir just mentioned, there are ways to make students happy in such a dimension, which is knowledge and lifelong effective workers and engaged citizens. It comprises students' proficiency in using academic knowledge to solve problems alone or in collaboration with others, like teamwork, and higher order reasoning skills, such as critical thinking and being able to confront ideas from various perspectives. The physical dimension refers to students' health and adoption of a healthy lifestyle. Why we are taking care of well-being, or what is the importance of promoting of students' well-being? it really it is really very interesting or very important to students as well as for staff, where any institution would like to be success, the institution has to take care of both pillars, which are students as well as faculty. I meant faculty means faculty and as well as staff. So in promoting students' well-being helps create a better overall experience for students, which ultimately benefits everyone. If students are able to find support, advice, and information, and to develop coping skills for life, they are more likely to continue with and be successful in their academic studies as well as in their future life. Now, there are some strategies or some actions that some universities could take to promote students' well-being. And these are some actions that most of universities taking care, like running workshops, offer staff training, professional development, for example, induction day, and so on. I'm going to concentrate in my presentation here, what is the practice at Ahlia University, what we have done to students, to staff, as well as to faculty. In fact, this pandemic, it is a good start or a good lesson to study from this pandemic, and where these challenges can be converted into opportunities for any institution or for any country in general. At Ahlia University, we tried to help students regarding their counseling, advising, using either online or emails, calling them. We tried to make them very happy and feel comfortable. If they have any issue, we can solve to them at the institution. And we have solved many many problems to them. There is an online students complaint. This is specially done for students. Moreover, online system, as well as we have a call center dedicated to receive calls from students, especially during the COVID-19. This call center, there were 4 staff at the beginning, then we reduced them to 2 because we expected many calls to receive, but at the beginning we put 4 staff, but then we reduced them to 2 because we already using other technologies or other tools to contact students, like, as I said, the online system or using email or WhatsApp, anything. Ahlia University took the initiative of doing comprehensive support to faculty as well as to students through workshops, through webinars. My colleague, Professor Amir, just mentioned at Bradford University, they have many activities, as well as we have here at Ahlia, and many institutions in Bahrain, they are doing similar support. Faculty experience and commitment, we are very happy to have a very good faculty at Ahlia who are committed to take their job honestly and to support the students. Other practice that has been done at Ahlia, induction day. This is a normal process. Each semester we do this induction day like other institutions. Continuous evaluation of satisfaction. At Ahlia University has done 4 surveys since March until now. Some are related to students. We ask them what are the benefit, or do they are they happy? Are they satisfied with the services done to them through Ahlia, and also other surveys related to faculty members. And these output, the results from these are studied and put as actions, okay? And inshallah will be seen in the next academic year, some of these actions. Ahlia University may be the only institution at Bahrain as a private institution give financial support. There are many financial support. I just put them in short. Ahlia University offered 50% for frontliners who are working with the front lines for the pandemic, like doctors, nurses, police, BDF, Bahrain Force, and also 5% reduction of tuition fees for all students in the second semester as well as in summer session. Also, Ahlia University donated 10,000 Bahraini dinar, which is almost $27,000 US dollars, as a donation to the society, just to make as Ahlia part towards the society and to be part of the society. All this is considered to be part of well-being for students, their parents, their families, the faculty, as well as the whole community. What else Ahlia University did regarding or during the COVID-19? The grading system is flexible. We had two choices for students. They can opt for either of the options. Either they choose pass or fail, or they choose for grades. And this strategy is very helpful. It helps students too much. Most of them they went for the pass fail. Also, maybe 25 to 30% opted for grades, which is very good percentage during this COVID-19. There are many workshops that has been done to faculty professional. One of them 2 weeks ago regarding the students' well-being. Also, I was part in one of these workshops. And finally, the online assessment. All assessment has been done through online. Now, what is the impact of well-being to the institution, to the faculty or staff, as well as to students? This diagram, which my colleague Professor Amir started with similar diagram, 3 circles, he mentioned regarding 3 environments. Here, I'm focusing this only on university faculty as well as students. If the university did or does or help the faculty or staff, the faculty member will be committed to the university. This two-way arrow. It means if the university supported the faculty will be committed to the university, and he will be doing better job, or he will be committed to the students to give more support to students. And when we come to the students, if they receive support from the students and from the faculty, they will be happy. They will talk to their friends, to their family, to the society, and this circle will be continuing not only for the COVID, for the whole process. As soon as the students in the university, I am sure if he got a good support, good care, this will reflect on his performance on the university as well as on faculty. Sorry to take time. This is my last slide, and thank you. And I hope it is beneficial for those who are with us now. And thank you, Sonia. Sonia?
Great, thank you so much for that,
Dr.
Faisal. It's really interesting to hear about a different university's perspective and how you've handled it from your position. So thanks very much for that. We've had quite a lot of questions come in, which is really exciting. So we're going to get straight into that. And the first one I'm going to ask to both of our panel members. So maybe if we could start with Dr. Amir and then Professor Amir, sorry, and then go over to Dr. Faisal. Is how do you engage and support international students during this time?
Thank you. Well, that's a very pertinent question, and of course, I sort of highlighted one thing we've done in my faculty of management law and social sciences. The simple answer is to make sure, and it might sound strange this, so I'm going to be careful how I say this, to make sure you know who your international students are. Now, we should all know who our international students are, and I'm sure the same case is at Ahlia and at other World Technology University network universities as well. We have a lot of international students, and we have a lot of students, overall. But actually knowing who your international students are, where they are located, even if they're in your country where your university is, that's really important. So actually knowledge and information about who your students are, international students are, number one, that's the first thing. Where are they? Are they okay? And do they need help? That's the first thing. The second thing then is to, well, again, it sounds very simple and obvious, but to speak to them or contact them. This can be through either direct links, you might be a personal tutor, colleagues may be personal tutors, but they may also have links through student union or other student officers. And it's about, again, making that connection, making that link, and trying to find out what their needs might be. And the most important thing after that, number three, very rapidly, I would say, is then doing something about it, intervening. And so things like we've done, like the International Students Forum, or even going to the student halls and seeing, are the students there? Are there any people? Are there students that really need help? There is something to be said for what they call management by walking around. So literally finding out directly from students, contacting the students that you supervise or that may be in touch with you, asking them simple questions. Are you okay? Do you need help? But also having these forums, these opportunities, be it tutorials. Of course, now we've pretty much everywhere. We're in summer recess now. It's the summer holidays now. We've effectively broken up. Exams are finished. We're in graduation sort of phase now. But there are still students out there, postgraduate students, international students. So give them an opportunity to come together. Make sure you're in contact with them and make sure you're accessible and available. I think those are, from my experience and certainly from colleagues at Bradford, that's what's allowed us to stay in touch. I don't know what colleagues at Alia, Dr. Faisal, what are your views or experiences?
Okay, can I? Okay. Well, thank you, Professor Amir. Yes, we had around 16 international students. They were with us at the beginning of second semester. But after the pandemic, we were trying to do our best to them. And there is one department dedicated to the international students. They were very in touch with them through mobile, through email, and they booked for them when they said we will go back to our country. They did the whole, the logistics and everything, and after they left to their countries, they were in contact with them also. They wanted to make sure they arrived safely there, and are happy. Also with local students, also we do have other students who are non-Bahrainis but are living in Bahrain. We are taking care of them, as I just mentioned, through phone calls, through counseling, in all sorts of ways we try to contact them. Thank you.
Just to and thank you for that.
You are muted. Muted.
Sorry, I was talking to myself there. I was just saying that that's very encouraging to hear, and we are doing the same. Of course, I'm sure other colleagues are elsewhere too. The other two important things I forgot to mention, I know we're all doing this, is providing information to students as we have on our web pages. I'm sure Alia has as well on its web pages. FAQs, frequently asked questions. And the other really important thing is, as a university, we need to coordinate activity. That's really important. One or two people doing it it's good, but it's better if you do it as a team. And I'm sure Dr. Faisal, yourself and colleagues at Ahlia are definitely. I know Alia very well. I know you've got fantastic colleagues there too. So doing things in a coordinated fashion so that international students feel supported. That's certainly. I know we're all doing that. So just to add that point. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So I know, Dr. Faisal, you touched on how all of your end-of-year assessments have gone online at Alia University, and we have had a question about that, so I'm just going to put this one to you, and then Professor Amir, if you've got anything to add. But it says, have last-minute changes to end-of-year assessments after being away from campus affected students? And if so, how have you combated against this?
Well, to be honest, at the beginning there was big issues regarding students. They were afraid. How are we going to be assessed, and what will be the type of assessment? But to be honest, here at Ahlia, from the first week of the lockdown of the pandemic, because we have a good base for the electronics, ICT, so after the first week, all the faculty members are ready to give their lectures and to do the assessment. Assessment, as I said at the beginning, it was ambiguous for all of us, for staff, for faculty, for students. But gradually, after we talk to the students, we pass the message to the faculty that try to be fair with the students, okay? Plus the assessment strategy, which was the grading system, choosing pass or fail. This make the students happy to choose their assessment type according to their ability. Some students have chosen to go for examination, and the examinations was done online. Okay, there are different types, depends on subjects also. But as I said, 30% they opted for the exams, and others opted for pass or fail. The pass or fail, the assessment was done like assignment, quizzes, homework, projects. All these are considered to be the whole assessment of the course. That's it. Okay, is that okay? Sonia?
Yep, that's.
You are muted, Sonia. Muted.
Sorry, I'll get good at this one day. Professor Amir, is there anything that you would like to add to that at all?
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Faisal, for that. I mean, we've broadly taken the same sort of approach in general principle as many other universities have done. So yes, we adopted very rapidly, reviewing all of our assessments, revising them, certainly in terms of deadlines and submission deadlines as well, allowing students to, of course, provide any mitigating or extenuating circumstances, and of course allowing for a whole range of different things which may have affected them, clearly lockdown and pandemic wise, health wise, whatever, logistically as well. So that was put in place very rapidly, and there was a lot of hard work. And this by the way, everything that we're talking about, it may sound like it's, oh well, we can just go and do it, but actually it required, and it still requires, a lot of hard work, a lot of coordination. And you know, I'm amazed at colleagues' commitment and sheer effort to get this done in a very short period of time. They've really done a huge amount of work. So changing the assessments to fit the situation has been one thing, allowing and being very, very mindful of different students, different circumstances. That's another thing. The other thing that we've done at University of Bradford as well, we put in place something which we call a safety net. Now that's academic safety net. It's a nice analogy. It's an academic safety net in the sense it does not and it will not allow students to be at detriment because of the COVID-19 crisis. So based upon their past performance or their predictive performance, they will not be detrimented in their terms of their academic performance going forward. And that safety net is therefore really there to ensure that the students can continue to progress and even graduate in a smooth manner, taking into account the pandemic, but also taking into account their academic performance to date. And we felt that was really, really important for all of our students, home and international students, to give them that, again, that safety net, that assurance that they would not be disadvantaged because of this situation at the moment.
Great, thank you so much for that. So we've had quite a few questions about returning to campus. So I'm going to try and sort of group a couple of these together. So the first one is sort of generally, how are you preparing for the return to campus? But also, how are you planning to ensure you provide appropriate wellbeing support when some colleagues are back on campus while other colleagues are still working at home? So I'm just going to pass that back to Amir first, and then we'll go to Faisal afterwards.
Thanks, Sonia. So I think that's it's a very practical and pragmatic question. Now, the first thing to say is situation is developing rapidly. You know, we are seeing now several parts of the world coming into a potential second wave, with local lockdowns as well becoming more and more possible and potential. So we have to deal with the fact that things will change very rapidly. So any plans that we make are based upon what we know, and of course, as information changes, then they change. Generally speaking, we are planning at University of Bradford for a return to campus, and the campus is being prepared, and certain parts of the campus have been prepared for a return to work, for a return to operations, but subject to things like social distancing, of course, disinfection, all of those health protocols that we are being advised to by the government and globally as well. So, you know, hand sanitization, masks in appropriate areas, all of the things that that are happening in the outside world. Of course, you know, we are part of that same world, so we are preparing for that, and I've got provision for that. We are still open as a university, but virtually, and this is true for all universities, of course. So the campus might be closed at the moment, parts of it are opening, but we are still operating as a university. So we are planning for a return to, you know, full operations as a part of the normal academic year, albeit in a very mixed mode fashion from September. So again, largely there will be a virtual operational running of the university as it is now, of course. But we do want to start opening up the campus. We do want to get students onto the campus. We are open for business. We are open for teaching and learning and research as well. But doing that very, very carefully so that we don't put students and staff at risk. And that means that in terms of our teaching provision, we are taking a very blended approach. So there will be lectures that will be delivered online, but also there will be tutorials and seminars and where appropriate lectures delivered on campus as well. We realize the benefit of physical learning in a physical environment for students. That's really important, which is why we are still planning to have a blended approach. Now, of course, things are developing rapidly all the time, but that is our approach, and that's what we're planning for, and we're taking all precautions and necessary approaches very carefully. And I'll just finish off before passing across to colleagues. In terms of what if students and staff have concerns? Well, I've mentioned all of the ways that students and staff can alert their concerns to the university through various things such as Safe Zone, for example, or through if they're a student, through their tutor or lecturer, if they're a colleague, if a member of staff, through their line manager. Of course, there will be a range of staff, potentially a large percentage of staff who, for all sorts of reasons, may have to be on campus to carry out research, for example, in labs. That there's no other way to do that work. But there may be another large percentage of staff who can still comfortably work from home. So we have to balance and look at the availability of staff, be it from home or on campus, compare that to the needs of their job role, and the needs of students, and of course their own personal well-being. And those assessments are being taken regularly all the time. We've already been through 1 or 2 cycles of asking staff certainly about their well-being, but also about their roles and the type of work they are doing, so we can identify who actually should be on campus, and if they are on campus, then how we can ensure their safety, but where possible to allow as many people as possible to continue to work from home. So it's a mixed approach, but I think, like many other universities, we are having to be very agile as things develop, but that's our current approach. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Amir. Here at Ahlia, the top management, especially the founder, president, Professor Abdullah Al-Hawaj, always insists that this pandemic, we should take a lesson from it. How? We have to convert these challenges into opportunities. One of the opportunities, as my colleague just mentioned, you need to go either for to mix up blended learning, some courses to be taught at on face-to-face, and some could be taught online. And this is what we are thinking here at Ahlia. We have 2 plans for the next academic year. Either if things, inshallah, go smoothly and the lockdown is a little bit easier, we could put more courses to be face-to-face and others to be blended, or vice versa. If the situation is bad, we could move totally to online. There will be no harm. We have the enough support and facilities available at Ahlia, where we could teach all courses online. There is one challenge also here regarding the labs, as well as either for engineering courses or for IT courses. There are some courses that students should attend for the lab. There is another plan also, either to put not 15, for example, reduce the number per lab, so that students can come taking in consideration this distance learning or distance socializing distance. The idea for students is to benefit from their coming to an institution. So we do have plans for either cases. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So next we've got a question which is specifically for the University of Bradford. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Amir, and it says, there's a lot of environmental factors, especially external, which can have an impact on the mental health and well-being of staff and students, especially with Bradford in terms of threats of a potential lockdown. And so how is the University of Bradford addressing these?
Thank you. I mean, again, a very, very valid question. So I'll just go back to what I said sort of previously and then expand on it a little bit. So it is about working very much with the NHS, with Public Health England, but also with the council. And we've got very, very good links with Bradford Council as well. And, you know, our senior management team through our Vice Chancellor, Professor Shirley Congdon, but also Professor Zahir Irani, who's Pro Vice Chancellor for Academic Quality and Innovation, and other colleagues within the senior colleagues within the university, including HR colleagues, but also our health and safety, security colleagues, right across the board. This is where, again, teamwork is really important. So as the situation changes, you know, there is a rapid response team, senior management team that's looking at that on a daily basis. Of course, we have a plan in place and we have an approach in place, as I've mentioned, but certainly working not in isolation, but working with the NHS, Public Health England, health authorities, the council as well, taking that information and data rather than rumor and supposition is really important. We need to base our actions upon fact and based upon what we know. And that's challenging because that also means we have to be very agile, or have the potential to be very agile. So I can't say more than that, because it's not, you know, I'm not directly involved in those decisions, but I do know that Vice Chancellor and the senior management team are working closely with all colleagues, including the hospitals, of course, and other health professionals, to inform what we're going to do. As we've seen throughout the whole of this pandemic, and you know, the whole world is connected on this, and you can't operate in a vacuum here. So any decision that the university takes now and in the future will always be informed by the information, the data, the knowledge that we have that's shared between you know, professional health professionals, the council, our community, and of course our students and staff as well. So it's not just one answer, but there's several bits to that there. But we will do whatever we can and however we can to ensure the safety of our staff and of our students. But we do, as I mentioned already, we are operating as a fully open university, and we really do want to continue to support our students and to continue operating as a university that supports its wider community as well. Hope that addresses it.
It does. Thank you so much. And I've just actually had a comment come through from somebody who's watching, who's just put, do the University of Bradford staff know or have heard about the chaplaincy service, which has been supporting staff and students for over 20 years? So just in case anybody watching didn't know about that, there's more information about that on the website, and we can include a link to that. Thanks for that. So we've talked a little bit about returning to campus and the practicalities of it, but we have had a couple of questions specifically about changes going forward to mental health and wellbeing policy because of everything that's happened. So I'm just going to put a couple of these together, and it says, are you anticipating a rise in the demand for support and wellbeing in returning to campus in the new academic year? And also, do you think the experiences of COVID-19 and the impact it has had will contribute to a different approach to supporting mental health and well-being of staff and students? Do you see this initiating a change in policy? So if we just go back over to Dr. Faisal first, and then we'll come to Professor Amir afterwards.
Thank you, Sonia. Well, as I just mentioned, depends on the situation, on the whole situation. What is the decision of the government? Are we going to go face-to-face or online? As an institution, we have two plans, okay? Either to go totally online or blended learning, or part of the courses will be of a course will be either online and part will be face-to-face. All depends on the situation. If I could understand the question properly, Sonia, is that answer the question?
I think so, yes. It was just, I suppose, about you know, we've already had to use a lot of probably increased techniques in terms of mental health and well-being of students, and sort of are Alia going to look at more of a wider change in their techniques and in their policies around this going forward because of what we've had to deal with over the current pandemic? Yeah.
Regarding the policies, we already tried to collect all this policies that has been affected. For example, we have internship students who go to practice or for training. We have special needs students. All this has been taken in consideration. Some policies are already are not changed, are modified to fit with the current situation, which is pandemic.
Great, thank you so much. Professor Amir?
Thank you. Again, a really important question, actually. And first of all, apologies for not including the chaplaincy. They do a wonderful job, and I know colleagues in the chaplaincy and the counselling service at Bradford who are immensely patient and immensely skilled at helping students and staff. And as I mentioned, I wasn't able to include every single aspect, and that was an oversight. But of course, that's a really important part as well. So absolutely, and applause and well done to the chaplaincy services for all that they do for our students and staff. I think the answer that was a pre-answer. The question was, will there be a change in policy towards mental health? I think the simple answer is yes. Now, two things very rapidly in succession. I already mentioned the staff development in my talk, and mental health and well-being is part of our return to work staff development. But separately to that, and this was something that we were doing, and I know Helen Hogg, I'm going to name check Helen now. I don't know if she's on the call or listening, but she's our first aid and well-being officer on campus, and there's a whole host of other colleagues who support her and provide first aid and emergency aid as well. But there was before COVID going to be a mental health first aid course, and that was well before we had this present pandemic. So that I think will come to fruition, and that will be rolled out. But as I mentioned, the mental health charter for universities is a framework, it's a guide, and lots of universities have been involved in that. And I do think, yes, I think there will be and there should be a change to policies on campus. But University of Bradford has had this in place, and certainly has had the support in place for a long time, as many other universities have had as well. Just to note one other thing, University of Bradford is a university of sanctuary for those members of the community or from overseas who are in distress. And we've been a university of sanctuary for many years, as colleagues know. And again, that hopefully provides some evidence that we are always thinking about the mental as well as physical health and well-being of our students and staff. So I think there will be changes. I think as people come back to the campus, colleagues and students come back to campus, and they may go away again, you know, as lockdown situations come and go. We don't know how that's going to develop, and hopefully it won't come to that. But I think we have to be certainly more aware of mental health. It's as important. It's on an equal footing with physical health, you know, and I think that is going to be a very, very clear consideration that we should have. I know colleagues are always talking about it as well now, more than ever before, and that awareness is a good thing. So yes, sorry, long answer, but a yes.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to move into the final question now, and I always like to end these webinars with this from a purely selfish point of view in terms of the network. And it is just from both of your perspectives, how can an organisation such as WTUN, you know, an international network of different universities who are very varied in size, shape, you know, private, public, rankings, everything like that, sort of contribute and work together in a time like this, specifically in this area of mental health and well-being. And I guess just ask you if you've got any final closing thoughts as well. So I'm just going to go over to Dr. Faisal for that last question, and then we'll come to Professor Amir.
Thank you, Sonia. It's a very interesting question. This pandemic probably, it gave the institution a chance to communicate more and more. For example, at Ahlia University, we could have a colleague from Bradford University where he could lecture and our students benefit, and vice versa. At Ahlia University, we might have a colleague who could teach a course that can be offered to Bradford students there, and they can benefit. So this pandemic, as I mentioned, this challenge should be taken as an opportunity to get more communication, more engagement with institutions, with industry even. There is no way to stop now. Things has to be changed, whether to fully online, to partially online, to do some communication with other institutions. And we are very happy here at Ahlia University to have this engagement or this cooperation to be more and more. This is my personal view, and I'm willing to raise it to the higher management, and to see if there is anything can be done between the two institutions.
Thank you.
Shall I go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I've just seen a comment on the chat, so I'll actually answer that one first, and I'll come back to the World Technology University Network, because I think the two things are related. So it's about community. Actually, I think I did mention community, but what I didn't mention, and again, for the sake of time, we're covering a very, very deep subject here. It's impossible actually sometimes to cover and mention every single aspect of this. So we have worked with, the university has worked with local community organizations such as VIP, such as PMI, Council of Mosques, I know, and other local charities as well, wherever we can, to link through and actually help out people in the community, again outside the university space. This topic really was focused on students and staff within the university part of that community as well. Of course, a lot of our students also live in the community close to the university as well, so we definitely, quite rightly, should not forget them. But as I mentioned previously, there are so many activities happening that I certainly might not know about, but are certainly out there, where there are links with the community. And all I would say to the comment there is that we have to give each other a chance to do something and to continue working and supporting each other. It's very easy to highlight successes. It's also very easy to highlight failures. But what I'm always committed to, I'm a pragmatic optimist, is trying to do better. And I think that's one of the main things certainly with mental health, is trying to do better. And if we're not successful, then we learn from that and we try and improve next time. Now, where does the WTUN fit into all of this as well? So the WTUN is also a community, and as the Dr. Faisal has also mentioned very kindly, said, there are opportunities for various forms of knowledge, student exchange as well. Of course, how might that happen within a COVID-19 context or environment? Well, there's lots of ways we can do that. For example, we run a summer school every year now within our faculty that's now extending into law and other subject disciplines. And we have in the past regularly had students from other partner universities, including, I may mention, Alia University, who have come across. They've taken part in lectures or in student activities. Research-wise, let's not forget research. Collaboration across the network for research purposes is definitely always an opportunity there. Sharing knowledge, of course, is a core part of that. And within this pandemic, sharing best practice, and this is a great example. This webinar series that we are running now is a great example of sharing knowledge, sharing best practice. There's a few points I've noted down from what Dr. Faisal was saying, and possibly vice versa, where okay, that's an interesting way of looking at things. So I think the network is really powerful, it's really strong, and if we can connect with each other, that's even better. I know we had a very good webinar before today's one. I know we've got a very interesting webinar coming up as part of this series as well. So I think that this network, the World Technology Universities network, is a unique thing. We should try and make the best use of those connections, as Dr. Faisal has said. We've got some great colleagues and students around the world, so let's do what we can together.
Great, thank you so much. I think that's a really nice way to actually wrap up today. I just want to start by thanking both of our speakers. I think it's been really interesting. I know definitely for me to hear about experiences from two of our members and to learn about everything that's been going on and everything that, or some of the things that both universities have done to try and help their staff and students across this time, and things that you're looking to do moving forward. I want to thank everybody who's taken the time to join us today. Really appreciate that, and thank you for all the questions that were submitted as well. And as Professor Amir just said, this is part of a series. Thank you to those of us who joined us for the online learning and teaching one last week. The final one in this series is next Tuesday, and it is about technology universities and research during COVID-19. We've got 3 excellent speakers lined up, so we really hope that you can join us for that. For further information and to register, you just need to go onto our WTUN web pages or email us at wtun@bradford.ac.uk. So thank you very much again, everybody. Please stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe, everybody.